They say fortune sides with the man who's bold and brave. Still we need to figure out the path to take today. I spent my life up till now trying to uplift and empower and show you how. With financial fear, the healthy coins here. Something less than you earn. Make a budget, don't just burn. Invest as early as you can. A budget is part of the plan, yeah. Oh, pay yourself first, don't forget it. Lower your tax and be strategic. Money doubles in 72. Healthy Coin is rooting for you, yeah. Health is wealth. The health is wealth.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on when and where you're watching this. I hope you're having a fantastic Monday. This is the second installment of Small Business Mondays, and with no further ado, I want to jump right into the content. So hopefully you are watching this and you can see, see what the topic is all about, and we're going to dive into 3 tips that I'm going to give you that will help you grow your business in 2021. All right. So by way of introduction, let me start there. My name is Robert. I am the president of a company called Healthy Coin, which is kind of what's sponsoring this whole thing. I'm a licensed CPA by trade. I'm based in Chicago. And the last book I read was called Limitless. Amazing book. If you haven't read it yet, I encourage you to do so. And the last movie I watched was The College Admission Scandal. So there's a little bit about me on a personal note, a little bit from a professional perspective. I work with over 30 industries, been in business for 12 years, and I love what I do. So it's nice to meet you all virtually. Okay, so what are the 3 tips, right? Like let's get to the meat and potatoes, What are the 3 tips? So I'm just going to start right in there. And the first one is to focus on building lifelong relationships. Okay, so what do you mean, Rob? Let's go deeper. One of my key takeaways from a recent conversation I had with my mentor was that there's this idea that you should treat your customers or potential clients and your team as you would with someone, with whom you hope to build a lifelong relationship. And the way my mentor explained it to me was that, if you have a good product or a good service, right, you put people first and profit second, right? And if you can do that, you'll constantly be able to give value to your clients as you expand your services in the future. And I just love that. So what I would say is that strong relationships are really the secret sauce to small business. And to quote the GOAT, right, Lee Iacocca, he said, business, after all, is nothing more than a bunch of human relationships. And if we were to keep it 100%, let's be 100% here. Consumers aren't sheep, right? They have feelings. They don't trust most advertisements. And often they're not buying the product or the service per se, but they're buying from the people with whom they have a connection. Also, let's note that customer acquisition, that cost has risen with things like social media marketing fees, CRM subscriptions, and different campaigns you can have, the different softwares as well. I know we use some of that. And the biggie is that your competition is out there. All right. So I gave you a notable quote. Let me give you one from another side of the coin, right? To quote Snoop Dogg, everyone is out there hustling, trying to get that paper. So right? It behooves you to try and focus on building lifelong relationships as opposed to just zooming into the sales. And I think you can use this to your advantage, right? So if 81% of customers trust family and friends over advice from a business, then at least you can try to treat your customers like family, right? Can't hurt, right? And to be honest with you, I am putting my money where my mouth is. So I'm opening up my home on Mondays and Fridays to make dinner for my clients, right? We're not going out to restaurants. That's not, that's too formal. And it would kind of be too easy, maybe a little costly, but easy, right? So what I've done is I've set up a Calendly account. This is free software. And I'm sending invitations for people to come and fellowship with me and my family in my home. And, the string is free food, right? That's the bait. And I'm hoping that by doing that, I'm able to really focus on lifelong relationships with the clients. And I'll tell you how it goes. But with all of the advice I give you, I'll always kind of parrot it to something I'm doing personally. All right, number 2, know and focus on your core customer. So this is my second tip for you. With so much competition, in our mind, right? We've created so much. There's so much competing energy that wants our attention. It's more crucial than ever to connect to customers and clients who will have a genuine interest in your products and your services. Now, it's absolutely crucial that you identify your core demographic and focus your marketing strategy directly on them. And the reason why you want to do that is so that you're not wasting time, money, or energy, or pissing someone off that doesn't want to be pissed off. Okay. So in a perfect world, you can appeal to teenage athletes and, the senior citizens who are approaching, retirement or something like that. Right. And some industries have that flexibility, but let's keep it 100 again, right? That's not the case for all of them. And if you've tuned in and you're watching this, I'd be willing to bet that you don't have that type of industry as well, right? You're not making socks. Okay. So you have to do things like take things like age, geography, location, gender to paint out a comprehensive picture of what your core customer looks like. And while the impulse might be to just, blast market every one of the customers that might fit the profile, right? It's tempting, but that type of target marketing will be inefficient, right? You won't know what's working, what's not. And it makes more sense to zoom in and target on a small subset of people that you can have the best chance of winning. All right. So here's my use case, right? I told you I'll always keep it, personal and give my personal example. So one of them is that my use case is simple, right? I run a boutique accounting firm and we have core deliverables, 3. There's business accounting and tax. There's individual tax and personal finance. All right. And personal finance kind of weaves in wealth building, but, those are my verticals, right? I have no business whatsoever marketing at high schools. You'll never see me hanging outside of GameStop, handing out flyers. And if I'm being honest, right, certain industries have no need for my services. And that's fine. They know it. I know it. So instead of focusing on this group of people that really has no interest in me, I'll spend more time trying to focus on potential clients that do make sense for me. Right. So what I like to do is just kind of erase those ones from my prospective client map. And that's a way for you to know and focus on your core customer. Okay. Third and final tip I'm going to give you is that you need to reinvest in your brand. And this one is a classic in my opinion. So I'm sure you've heard this time and time again. You've heard the advice from someone else, but I'll say it again because it hasn't lost any importance. Many small businesses are focused on making the next sale, taking the next launch, making that next hire. And all of those things are important and necessary, but we have to be mindful of pausing and identifying ways to reinvest in our own brands. And I'm not just talking about like this annual exercise of, okay, well, we have this much net income. We'll take that and we'll throw it into, the marketing campaign, or hey, for the lobby, we'll get a new Keurig for Susan, things like that. No, I'm not talking about that. Talking about how in today's market, the largest part of investing in yourself and your business is through branding. Now, to my way of thinking, okay, and this is just me, there's probably someone smarter that would say something different, but to my way of thinking, proper branding is the bedrock of successful businesses. And brand value is this perceived strength of a company, their image, their reputation. And that framework is how you get to companies like Starbucks, right? And we'll use this as an example, right? So if we were to really digest Starbucks as a brand, they've innovated one of the simplest beverages on the planet, right? It's not a cocktail. Yes, there can be fancy versions of the Starbucks drinks, but by and large, it's coffee, right? They're manufacturing coffee from beans, right? Like, that's it. So they've innovated this beverage, right, to the consumer, and they brought a better quality to the consumer. But then, right, they put it in red holiday cups. They hired a green mermaid to float on all the cups. They host an annual revival of this pumpkin flavored goodie that everyone goes crazy about. So Starbucks as a brand isn't any one of those things, right? They're all of them. Plus that ooey gooey feeling you get when you experience one of their stores. So in my humble opinion, the strongest potential ROI is investing in your brand, because if a company like Starbucks could revolutionize something as basic as coffee, that just highlights the importance of branding even more, because all those things I mentioned before, that's what got Starbucks to where they are today, right? Branding, branding, branding. So let me double click on this tip, and like Starbucks, I'll spill the beans by telling you what I'm doing through my company. I told you I'll always keep it personal with you. So for me, how am I reinvesting in my brand? Well, you're watching one of them right now. I've created this, bi-weekly webinar that I drop for free, don't charge anything, and I'm just giving people free gems. Now, to reinvest in the brand, I even added the little musical intro. Hopefully, you heard that before this, before this webinar kicked off, and you'll hear it on the way out too. But that's one way in which I want to be remembered and have a value, a value-focused deliverable that I can give my consumer. And that's how we're reinvesting in our brand. Okay. So these are my 3 tips. I'll run it back for you here. The big 3 are, they're tangible. They're actionable. They're not too lofty. They're not too crazy. But I really feel like these 3 business tips will help you kind of catapult into greater success this year. So going deeper into this brand concept, I added a couple, a couple questions to get your brain going, because this is the biggie, right? So is your brand recognizably you? We'll use me as a use case, right? If you've gone to a Healthy Coin website or a web page or an Instagram or Facebook, wherever, you should tell, okay, this has the likes of Rob written all over it. And yes, there may be someone else creating the content. We outsource to an awesome group to do some of the things, but by and large, you can tell it's me. You can feel my tone and tenor in a lot of the posts. Next question, does your brand convey authenticity? Well, I sure hope mine does, because a lot of it's my ideas, right? And ask yourself the same thing, right? Is it you? Does it feel authentic? If someone else didn't know you and they read it, would they be able to put 2 and 2 together? Hopefully, yes. And then finally, does your brand distinguish you from competitors or others in the sector? This is huge, right? Separation is key. You have to stand out and conjure up that, that competitive edge. Right. And I don't know, like I guess if I'm being honest, I wasn't always that way. I used to do what everyone else does, where, you copy somebody's, whole flow, you borrow, stock photos and look, you just got to be you. Be your niche, be yourself, be the only version of you, a niche of one. And that's your cheat code, in my opinion, right? So what you're watching right now is an example of it. Right, I'm putting myself out there. I'm showing my face. I'm sharing my values. If you've listened to that intro song of the presentation you heard, right, the lyrics are obviously from me. Right, spend less than you earn, make a budget, don't just burn. Right, that's my testimony. Right, and in case you missed it, like I said before, you'll hear it play back in the end. Going back up a little bit, does your brand convey authenticity? Let's double click on that one time. Staying true is the easiest way to produce great content. You can create safe spaces by being 100% you. And what you'll find as you experience our content is that we're sharing what we've learned in a clear and concise manner. And that's all we're aiming to do. Selling happens way, way later if and when you reach out to us. So that's what I want to encourage people to do. All right, so here we go. We'll recap on all of the tips. Number 1 was focus on building lifelong relationships. Number 2 was know and focus on your core customers, zoom in. And then finally, reinvest in your brand. And that is all I have. Hey, this is number 2. I want to say thank you for tuning in and listening and watching. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next session. All right, you guys want to hear that tune again? The tune a part of the brand.
They say fortune sides with the man who's bold and brave. Still we need to figure out the path to take today. I've spent my life up till now trying to uplift and empower and show you how. With financial fear, the healthy coins here. Oh, spend less than you earn. Make a budget, don't just burn. Invest as early as you can. A budget is part of the plan, yeah. Oh, pay yourself, but don't forget it. Lower your tax and be strategic. Money doubles in 72. Healthy Coin is rooting for you, yeah.